Charles Clapsaddle, obviously, you've got a lot of experience with him, and he's one of those guys that taught the community a lot. And one of the things I think is interesting that you were just talking about was he kind of taught you how to do some long format interviews, huh?
Yeah, years ago when I went to work for the Fair Association, the biggest thing I was nervous about was doing interviews. And the first one I had was with Charles Clapsaddle, METV. And from that point on, I wasn't nervous anymore. He taught me how to, relax and, just how to prepare for an interview and just all the little nuances you need to know.
Yeah.
So I owe a lot to him for that.
Oh, that's so cool. And, you were saying you've been involved, or you were involved in the leadership and participation directly with the county fair is for over 20 years.
Yeah, I worked for them part-time originally when I was an ag teacher at Palmetto High School. And then one day I got a phone call from the new manager, Bill Rickley, and he said, hey, we're looking for somebody to take over the reins of the fair, in a year or two, and I'd like for you to talk to you and see if you'd like to go to work for the fair. Yeah. And so from that point on, I went to work part-time for the fair for a couple of years, and then in the next year I became the fair manager, and I was there for 17 years as the manager, 2 years as the assistant, and then a little bit of time before that as just working part-time for the fair.
Here with Dan West, mayor of the city of Palmetto. So how do you think that experience with the fair has kind of shaped the way that you've come into becoming mayor and some of the priorities that you have?
Well, I will tell you, people ask me all the time, what is it like? How does it differ from working in the fair industry? Well, I'm going to tell you, it's exactly the same.
Is it?
It is exactly the same. I feel like that it's just a continuation of the job as fair manager. You're out in the community, you're working with the folks in the community, trying to get them to be involved with the fair and what ways they can be involved with it. It's no different at the city, to try to get people involved and participate in their local government. So it's very similar in a lot of regards. And I like to go out, just like I did when I was fair manager, go out and speak to different groups to try to get them involved and at their places, whether it's a mobile home park or a development. Go out and talk to them about what's going on with the city and what's coming their way as far as growth in the city of Palmetto and other things that are coming. I know people, they love seeing new restaurants. That's one of the things they love to hear about. So that's a big high point. So, but I enjoy doing that. It's very similar to what I've done with the fair.
When is the fair in January?
It starts January 15th, runs through the 25th this year, and so it's an exciting time. We love that Palmetto is the host city for the fair.
Yes.
And has been since 1937.
Wow.
Before that, it started at 1916, where McKechnie Field is located now in Lecon Park. So it was there originally, 1916. Then the Great Depression hit, and it went out of business. Then in 1937, a group of Palmetto business folks picked it up again and rechartered it. And that's where it's been ever since. And so we love it that Palmetto is the host city. That's one of the ways we always get to kick off our new year.
Yeah.
And Palmetto and in all of Manatee County with the fair in town. I mean, what a great way to kick off your new year. You've had Christmas, you've had New Year's, you had the national championship football game, and then boom, the fair's here.
The fair.
We had such a blast last year at the fair and got the unlimited ride tickets, and the kids got to ride. I mean, we had more rides and more things to do than time to do them.
That's true.
It was actually, because you can go to some fairs and there's you're kind of done in an hour or so, but this was not the case. This was definitely all night entertainment, great food, great atmosphere, really great for families. Sometimes you're worried about safety. There were law enforcement there. Everyone was having a good time. People were on good behavior. I was really impressed.
Well, I'll tell you, my former job was with the Florida Federation of Fairs and Livestock Shows. I was their executive director for 6 years, and I've been to every fair in this state multiple times. And, not to be biased or anything like that, but Manatee County is a great fair.
It's
a great local community fair, and you are safe when you go to the Manatee County Fair. There's sheriff's departments there. They handle everything on the inside of the grounds, and then you got the Palmetto Police on the outside. So, it's a wonderful event, and I take my hat off to our sheriff for what he does with the fair.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a wonderful event for people to go to. You can go and let your kids go and just come back and meet up at another time. Of course, there's plenty of great food. There's lots of
always is.
There was a whole fried everything,
deep fried Oreos,
the spectacle,
cheese curds,
but the thing that's you got to see it. It's really something to witness, right? Yeah. My kids loved the animals, the petting zoo, all the different things they could actually get up and close with.
Exactly.
And that was so cool.
Yeah. I have to take my hat off to the fair board. It takes thousands of man hours putting together times of meetings throughout the year to implement all the things that they want to do on a yearly basis. So, those people deserve a lot of credit. They live it all year around. It's not just the 2 weeks before the fair. They're meeting all throughout the year to put on the best fair that they can, and they've done a great job.
And the kids too. I mean, they're raising the animals. They're showing the animals. What do you think that? How does that tie into like the agricultural significance of the community?
It's off the charts. We have a wonderful 4-H program here in the county, and we always have. Manatee County 4-H has always been one of the tops. Then we've got several FFA chapters at the middle and high school levels, and all of those folks, the teachers there, they deserve a lot of credit because not only are they in the classroom every day teaching the subject and the state standards, but they're also spending their time on the weekends, working with students with workshops as far as fitting and grooming and showmanship and everything that it takes to take anything to the fair. So there's a lot. When you're an ag teacher, you're not just a regular teacher. You're with students all the time.
Well, agriculture isn't a 9-to-5 kind of job, right?
That's exactly right. Exactly right. So Manatee's always had a great agricultural industry. We still do. We want that to continue on for generations to come, and I think that is a symbol of why our fair is so popular, because people want to see that. The students out here, you've got some these FFA chapters have 100+ members of young people that want to participate in agriculture sometime in their life. Later, maybe a little bit later on, but so we want to have a viable ag industry in this community as well.
So, and your kids have expressed interest in this. How does a kid get involved? I mean, if they want to raise a pig and show it at the fair, how do they go about doing that?
I would start with 4-H because you can start when you're 8 years old. Wow. You can start showing livestock at 8 years old, and then when you get into high school, that time frame, middle school, high school, you can join your FFA chapter and get involved that way also. But either one of them are great. They're both wonderful youth agricultural organizations. They all have great leadership skill and qualities that would pass on to students, and then they're both involved with the livestock showmanship and other things of that nature. So it just depends on the age of the student as to where they might start.
I've got a 7-year-old who, since he was 3, has said he wants to be a farmer. Mm-hmm. And at first I was like, okay, because one day he might want to be a firefighter, and the next day he's an astronaut. But this one is stuck, so he wants to be a farmer. So I'm looking forward to getting into 4-H.
That's awesome, because we need young people coming into that industry.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's for sure.
And he's got the heart for there's just. The farmers that I've met, they have this just, still waters run deep, and he's got that in him even at 7. So
that's good.
Yeah, you'll have to teach me how to do that.
Not a problem. We'll get him signed up.
Because you also have an education background. You were a teacher for a long time too.
I taught at Palmetto High School for 8 years, and I was the ag teacher there and FFA advisor. And I tell you, I have students whose kids now are showing livestock. Boy, is that making me feel old. Yeah. So, but I was there from 1994 to 2002 at Palmetto High School.
Wow. What was your favorite part of teaching ag?
Oh my gosh, and it's still today. I had a group of students at City Hall the other day, and the question was asked, what is your favorite part of your job here? And I said, it's talking to students like you. And I not being in the classroom for the last 30 years, every time I can get near students, I just want to talk to them about agriculture and tell them how important it is. And now it's got students coming into City Hall talking about city government and how they can be involved and what it takes to be involved and how important it is that they get involved, because they're our future. They're going to be the next city commissioners. They're going to be the next mayors, county commissioners on down the line. So we've got to get them involved. And that's why I like them coming to City Hall, because they can see what it looks like. The next time they come there, they feel comfortable. They've been there. They've seen it. They've sat in the mayor's chair. They've held his gavel. So
cool.
all of those things, I think it helps a student, get to know what's out there in front of them. So they're used to it when they become a citizen, a homeowner, something that they need to talk to someone at City Hall about. Makes it easier.
I'm curious, with all of your involvement from the county fair and education here, how has that shaped how you lead now as mayor of Palmetto?
Well, I think a little bit of everything that I've done, has kind of helped mold how I interact and react with people and situations. So I try to be as calm as possible. Just try to keep a level head and talk to people and just try to get their concerns and let them air things out. A lot of times that's a good thing to let people talk and explain what's going on in their lives, or maybe something that they need to talk about revolving around the city or something. So I think that type of thing has helped me over the years, just to keep your composure, keep an even keel, listen to folks. Sometimes it's better to listen than to talk. So I think that's kind of the way I do things, and I think I hope it affects people in a good way, that they feel comfortable coming into City Hall, sitting down in my office, and just having a good conversation.
Much like the rest of the state, Palmetto's seen some changes. You've grown up in Palmetto. As you look around today, the neighborhoods, the people moving in, the momentum of Palmetto, what's the first thing that comes to mind as to what big changes you've seen throughout the years?
Well, and you're right. There has been a lot of changes, and they've been good changes. We were an agriculturally based city for such a long time. We kind of were the agricultural hub of Manatee County. At one time there would be hundreds of railroad cars leaving Palmetto a day filled with fresh produce. And so we're down to 2 packing houses down inside the city of Palmetto, and so we don't have as many as we used to. I think we had 9 when I was a kid in the city limits. But I think the people that are moving in, they love the small town atmosphere, just as we love it. If people that have lived there for a long time, people want to see that. They want to continue to feel that small town feel. And so a lot of the things that we're seeing, even some future possible developments that might be moving, are really just like infill developments on properties that haven't been, prior, utilized. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing some of those things that will maybe fill in some different areas. We don't have any real large expanses except for the part on the north end of the city. Sure. For the most part, it's like a lot of infill property type things that's developed.
Yeah. Tell us about some of those infill
Yeah, we've
projects.
got some. The Riverside project is moving forward. That's right there on the north side of the Green Bridge there. As you enter Palmetto, and that's something that's it's working its way through. We'll probably be hearing something about it pretty soon.
Good.
Also, further down that street, as you get closer to the marina, there's possibility of 75 luxury apartments coming up there, and then as you head north on 10th Avenue, our old Main Street, the old Palmetto Elementary site, there's a possibility of some mixed use there as well. So those are just some things that are happening, potential developments. We'll see where they go as we get into 2026, where those are going to head us, where they're going to head.
Yeah, and giving those people a place to enjoy and relax is also obviously a priority.
We have had people come into City Hall saying, hey, when is this one going to be ready? When's that one going to be built? Because I'm interested. And so, you've got a lot of people, they want to bring their businesses to Palmetto. They want to come live in Palmetto, and so they like the small town charm. They like the small town feel. They like to be able to possibly walk down to the agricultural museum or Sutton Park and see a movie in the park, like we're going to do, for the Christmas time. So, but anyway, it's just one of those things. It's small town America, and that's what people want to feel. That's where they want to live.
So, what's Christmas like in Palmetto for you?
It's great. Last week after Thanksgiving, we had the Christmas tree lighting at the Palmetto Marriott. That's the second annual, and there was so many more people there this year. I think that thing, as we go forward, next year there'll be even more. But the place was just covered up. Santa came in on a helicopter.
Yeah.
And kids came out to see Santa and Mrs. Claus.
Wow.
To talk to them and let them know what they want for Christmas. And so it was great. And we did a countdown for the Christmas tree lighting. So everybody, counted down 3, 2, 1, and then there was the lights that came on. So that's going to be an annual event here in Palmetto. We just thank the folks at the Palmetto Marriott for partnering with us on that and letting us be part of that.
It's such a beautiful hotel.
It is. It's gorgeous. And then, there was all kinds of booths and stuff like that. And then, this past weekend, we've had the European market that's been taking place there. It's a very popular event.
We were just there yesterday.
Yeah.
It's a great event, and so that's going to grow and grow over the years, and we're going to see a lot more people showing up for those events as well. We have got brand new Christmas lights downtown, and they were just put up last week, and so we haven't had them up for 2 years. But the City Commission did make allocations to buy new Christmas lights because the ones that we had before were 20 plus years old. They needed to be changed. So now the new ones that are up, they look so nice and crisp. So I hope everybody gets a chance to come drive through Palmetto and see all the new Christmas lights. We also, if you come drive by the Seahorse statue.
Yeah.
Around the seahorse statue, the Christmas lights are seahorses with Santa hats on.
No.
So there's 10 of those right around the seahorse.
Awesome.
And so then the rest of the way, you've got your, more traditional Christmas lights from on farther to the north.
I love
Yeah.
Christmas lights, and will gladly take a drive
Sure.
just to see them with the kids. And
Yes.
they like to act as judges, saying, "Oh, that's my favorite," or 10 points for that one.
Right,
So
right.
we'll have to go downtown as well.
That's just another part of that small town feel that people like,
Yeah.
And so people were asking, hey, when are the Christmas lights going to go up? I said, well, we're just waiting on them because they were delivered last week just before Thanksgiving.
How about you for your family? Do you have any fun holiday traditions?
Well, I have older, my sons are all older, 25, 23, and 27. So they have, two of them are married and have children. I have two grandchildren.
Oh.
So, but two of my sons live in Tennessee.
Okay.
And so they'll be coming down after Christmas this year. So then we'll all be together between Christmas and New Year's.
Wow, that's got to
So,
be nice.
yeah.
That's got to
Yeah.
be nice. Okay.
So you had mentioned people coming up from up north or coming down from up north, seeking space, community, that quality of life that you're talking about, that small town feel. What are some of the biggest opportunities, maybe even some of the biggest challenges that comes with that?
I think that the folks that are moving down, I think that they like what they see. They like the feel of Palmetto. They like the history, and actually, I was going to mention a few things about that. Palmetto first became a town in 1868, and it had a town council. The president of the town council at the time was Mr. Harrison. And so I would, he's not the first mayor, but the first president of the town council. The first mayor was Peter Harley. And that was in 1897 when Palmetto was incorporated into a city. So we're 5 years older than Bradenton. We're the oldest municipality in the county. And so, it's just one of those things. People love that history. They love to hear about, what the folks that came before. And I notice a lot of people go down to the Ag Museum and to the historical park, and they're in there reading and looking into stuff. We just did something with some other news outlets before about our 1975 Palmetto State football team. They just had their 50th year reunion.
Cool.
And so we did some stuff with them, and we were all down in the Carnegie Library one morning just to meet with some other news outlets to talk about their achievement 50 years ago. And so that just resonated with people like you would not believe. And I know we're looking forward to winning another one, but
There you go.
but until we do, we're going to keep celebrating the class of 76 whose folks won this 1975 2A state championship. And so that was great, but people loved it. And it just, we put it out on our Facebook stuff, and it just really resonated with people. They love that kind of stuff. So those folks that are moving in from other places, they really like to become a member of that community where this history took place.
Yeah.
And so it's good to get it out there and let people know what came before and who came before and what they did. We just had, Farm City Week
Yes.
last week, and a Palmetto businessman from the 19-teens, Daniel Marion Courtney, or D.M. Courtney, was inducted into the Agricultural Hall of Fame. His house stood where Palmetto City Hall is now.
Wow.
And so, his 3 packing houses were located in downtown Palmetto. He farmed several hundred acres. He was the first person to ship iceberg lettuce out of the state of Florida. He was the first person to put washing mechanisms into Wash's produce. So all this history, happened right there in Palmetto. And they developed this stuff in-house, he and his brothers. And so it was just a wonderful thing. So people loved that last week. Hearing about him, there was write-ups about him in the North River News, and we were putting stuff out on Facebook. And it was like people couldn't get enough about listening, learning about that. So
The history is so rich, and I love that you're one of the families, who's been here a long time. You grew up here. It's nice to be able to see someone so connected with their roots here. And I'm curious, what would you tell the new people coming in as you look to Palmetto's future now as mayor? What are you hoping to achieve with that foundation of all that history?
Well, I think that, people, like I said, they enjoy learning about their new home. And so they want to know the history that came before. And I think that it kind of, when you know your history, whether you were there as part of it or not, because I wasn't there when so much of this stuff happened, but I like to learn about it because it kind of teaches you for what you can do in the future, or what you can become in the future, or what your town can become in the future. They had hardships. There were things that happened. Last week also at the Ag Hall of Fame and the Ag Outstanding Agriculturist, they inducted Whiting Preston. And we talked about adversity and stuff like that. In 1907, when they had the lemon company great freeze came and killed to the ground. And so they had to start again. And so, there's always going to be adversity, and we learn from that from history. So that helps us and gives us the resolve to go forward. And I think that people like to hear those stories, and they want their kids to hear those stories so they learn how to handle adversity in the future.
Yeah. And I love how that preserving the stories, telling the stories, that's how the stories continue on. It's more than stories, though, right? History, it's about preserving those historical places.
Exactly.
What has the city of Palmetto done? What steps have you guys taken to secure some of those historic sites?
Several things, just where the Ag Museum is now, and that has been a great addition to the city of Palmetto. And it incorporates all of Manatee County. Yeah. And so we want to make sure that folks from all across Manatee County that are deserving and have done made significant contributions are included in that Hall of Fame and the Ag Museum in some way to keep that word and keep it going throughout the year so people learn more about it. But I'll give you an example. Connor Park was a park that the CRA had worked on several years ago.
Tell everybody what the CRA is, what that stands for.
Yeah, it's the Community Redevelopment Agency, and so they work in the CRA zone of Palmetto, trying to bring other businesses in, trying to help us as far as navigate through bringing other developments into the city. So they do a great job, and the Connor Park was a project from several years ago, but they just got an award, the Phoenix Award, for it at an event in Chicago this past summer. And so I have to take my hat off to all the folks that had worked in that and taken part in it, because that's a national award. But anyway, Connor Park, that was named after Frank Connor, who was the Seaboard Coastline Railroad agricultural agent. And so, they named it after him because he spent so much time there loading rail cars, making sure that there was the amounts of produce and everything else on those cars. So that that Connor Park drains 51 acres of property. It's like a watershed that goes through there to the river. So it goes through the filtration process because the soil is our best filter. And so it goes into that, and then there's, out in the river, there's 750 reef balls with clams in them and oysters, and they are going to filter out, 50 gallons of water per day. And there's 750 reef balls out there with I don't know how many oysters in them. So they're each one filtering 50 gallons of water a day to help clean the Manatee River.
That's awesome.
So that was a whole project. So it was a project to name it after somebody in the ag industry, and then it had a great environmental impact on our city.
And, at the heart of Palmetto is the 14th Avenue Park. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, 14th Avenue Park, that was something that started before my time. But when I heard about it, I loved it because, and myself and now on the commission, Commissioner Whitaker, Scott Whitaker, we were kids at the same time. We both played Meso Soccer League, and that's where we practiced when we were 8 years old on those fields. And so, it's a great spot. I think that the community, the ones I've heard from, are happy about it, especially the pickleball players, because they are looking forward to some additional pickleball courts.
Pickleball courts, right?
There'll be 8 pickleball courts in total. There'll be 2 tennis courts and then basketball courts, as well as an open green space to the south end.
Playground.
There'll be a playground for kids, a pavilion there to have parties under. The trail that goes all the way around for walking. Every town you go through in the south somewhere, there's a walking trail. And so we're going to have one.
Yeah.
And so I think it'll be very well used, and I think people will be out there all the time looking to exercise and just spend time with others, relatives, whatever else, while they're out walking. I think it'll be a very, very great addition to the city.
And can you talk about timing and when residents might see this come to life?
They're finishing up plans now, and so I think we won't break ground until February or March, but sometime in the spring.
Awesome. Okay.
For that, they said it would take 6 to 8 months to build it out. So by the end of 2026, we should be good to go.
Okay, we're going to hold you to it. Maybe come back.
For sure. And I know that the county has coordinated quite a bit, with Lincoln Park. What other ways do you coordinate with local municipalities? How does the city of Palmetto reach out?
That's a great question. I also tell you, and since I've started, just been welcomed with open arms. I've worked a lot with Mayor Brown here in Bradenton,
Yeah.
Gene Brown.
Yep.
Great guy. I think we work together very well. He was always involved with the Manatee boosters, and I've been involved with Palmetto boosters, so we knew each other that way. But I have loved every minute working with him. And also the county commissioners, I get to go to meetings different times, and I get to talk with them. And so they've been very, very supportive, so I appreciate that. And so we know that we have an open door policy. That they can call, I can call if we have questions. So I think it's been a great working relationship both ways.
No, that's great. So tell us, for those who may not be familiar, tell us about your council.
Sure. We have a 5-person council. We have three of them are divided up into wards 1, 2, and 3, and then we have 2 at-large council seats. But they all have their own careers. They have full-time jobs, and so they are out in the community when they can be. I'm out there all the time because that's my full-time job. And so, but they have other jobs, so a lot of times they can't make it to certain events, but they do make it when they can. And so a lot of times when we do things on weekends, they're there. So, but we have a good commission, and I think that they see what Palmetto can become and where we're kind of heading. So I think we're heading in a good direction.
And so maybe talk to us about how do you see the county and the city collaborating together in the future for next year and beyond?
Let's see. I think that whenever we can work together, we're working on our sewage treatment facility plant, and so that's something that we've had to start the process with. It takes a long time. Just to, one of the things that we did get some appropriations for was for a deep well injection. And so it takes a long time for the permitting for that to go through. And so, and there may be some ways that we can work together as far as our sewage, our wastewater treatment facility, and some areas there on the north side of the river that aren't incorporated in Manatee County. So, or incorporated Palmetto, I should say. But yeah, there may be some opportunities for us to work together there. And so, we're open to suggestions on things to see where we can work together. What if it's in the sewage system or whatever it may be. We're open to working together with the county. That's for sure.
One thing I know that's come up a lot with our commission is just this idea of affordable housing and what is affordable. And can you talk more about what you're seeing with your council and your experience as mayor about affordable housing and affordability in general in Palmetto?
Yeah, our council they have heard from some different groups. We are working with a group, Re-Envision, in Palmetto, and they are looking at some different infill properties where it would be some workforce housing, affordable housing in there on different locations. And then this last city commission meeting, they approved Habitat for Humanity 20 units for single-family dwellings there in Palmetto. So our commission, they see the need for it, and so they're working towards that, working with these different groups as they come forward.
And how important is that? I think you guys are creating this great space for people. People are coming here. We've got some of these info projects going on. You're building parks. How important is that workforce housing, that affordable housing?
It is important. It's important. And this we were talking about the Habitat for Humanity. They had talked about it being for first responders, teachers, and folks of that nature. So we have to have that because those folks have to. We would like for them to live in the community. So that would be a great spot for them. So hopefully that comes to fruition.
Talk a little bit about this year. We survived a hurricane season with no major storms. How thankful are you?
I'm very thankful about that. I'll say that last year, I have to give the city public works credit, everybody at the city totally, because Palmetto was cleaned up much faster than some other areas of the state.
Yeah.
I was still involved with Florida Farm Bureau last year, and I was still with the Federation of Fairs. And I was traveling still, and I was going to places months and months afterward. Palmetto was already cleaned up, and places had not been picked up the first time. So, got to give our folks credit. They got out there real quick and started. I came back into town on the day after of Milton. About 6:30 in the morning, and there was already payloaders all over the place in Palmetto running, clearing streets.
They were on it.
Yeah. And so being able to utilize the fairgrounds as that area for the FEMA collection for the debris that was a good thing. And we've been doing that for years. Most of the fairgrounds in the state are utilized in some way, shape, or form for emergency uses. And so, no different to here at Manatee, and we appreciate those folks letting us do that. It really helps the citizens when we don't have to truck it miles away.
And I know they needed a place, and so that was a win-win for them as well.
Exactly. So, they deserve a lot of credit. They did a yeoman's job, making that happen. So I'm very proud of them for that. And I'm so thankful that we didn't have a hurricane this year. Everybody needed a few years break.
Yeah, I could go another one.
Yeah.
I could go a couple more.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Our one of our public safety managers over at the EOC said this is the first time since 2008 that Manatee County hasn't activated in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. Obviously, lower level storms and stuff. 2008, so it's been.
Holy cow!
Isn't that crazy?
That's a great stat.
I know it's wonderful. So we're happy, and you know what? Conversations like this and relationships like this, I think, are super important, especially in times of crisis when we've got hurricanes coming at us and stuff like that. All of our coordination with the different municipalities just makes things better. And,
it does.
Yep, and the recovery process makes it quicker. People get back to their everyday. So we really appreciate you coming in here today. So.
No, not at all. We appreciate anything that we can do, for the betterment of our city, which also, in the equation, it helps the county as well.
Yeah.
So that's our goal.
So I'm curious, as we approach 2026, New Year's resolutions, like what would you hope, or is a New Year's resolution maybe for Palmetto?
I just hope that we keep our trajectory going and we keep our focus on what our job is, and
what is that?
Try to work with different groups and things that they would like to do. I can't put my finger on any specific things, but we hope that some of the potential developments that we're looking at can move on forward, and see. The day when they would be, finished, in Palmetto, what they would bring to our community. And just, always, we're going to have, like I said, people moving from different places still, because Palmetto is a great place to live. Manatee County is a wonderful place to raise a family.
It is.
So that's the main thing right there. People drive through here and they stop because they see the positiveness, they see what kind of a great place it is, where we've all had the opportunity to live for all these years. They want to live here too.
What do you think's kept your family here? And what, obviously you mentioned it's a great place to live, but what specifically has made it so great for you?
I think I have 16. There's 16 first cousins just on my mother's side of the family, and most of them still live here. So it would be weird to be away from all of them.
Yeah.
My sister lives out of Manatee County. She lives in Jefferson County, Florida. She's a cattle rancher, and so I have a couple other cousins. One's in Nashville, and one's in another part of the country, I think Michigan. But so there's 3 of us that aren't here. But I like to be around my cousins.
Yeah.
Our cousins were our first best friends.
That's
right.
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
If you're in a room, there's a chance that there's a West connected.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Very true. Very true.
So. I mean no disrespect, Mayor, but I'm aware of a slur of Palmetto that some refer to it as Palm Ghetto. What's your response to that when you hear that?
I have heard that, and not just not in the short period of time, but in the long term. I've heard it when I was a kid, and I'm going to tell you something right now. If my mother hears that, it is like a curse word, okay? And she would come unhinged. And so just getting that from her, I kind of do the same thing. And so I don't like it. It's derogatory.
Yeah.
There's nothing true about it. Yes, at one time it was largely an agriculturally based community, but it was a very successful agriculturally based community. And so, I've heard that, and I would come unhinged as well.
Yeah, so I think people have got that idea. There's the other slurs like Braden Tucky and
Fakewood Ranch.
So we've got a couple floating around. But man, when you go to Palmetto today, and the people I know who live in Palmetto, like it's far from the truth.
Exactly. Yeah. And I haven't heard it in a while. So that's good. I hope it's fading into the sunset.
I think it is.
But yeah, it's one of those things that it always has caught our attention, and we do not like it.
Yeah.
So from a historical aspect, nowhere at the Carnegie Library you can find any reference to Palm Ghetto.
Not at all.
So let's take this moment to officially put that term to rest. Can we do that?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it.
Officially,
It's gone.
Should we gavel it?
Boom.
Boom. It's done. It's gone.
So I have to ask you something. I just finished our agricultural day at Leadership Manatee, and we got this incredible tour of all of these different parts of our county related to farms and agriculture. And one of the folks who led the day was talking about the greening that's happened in Florida, and he told us about some students in universities right now who are really working and advancing a potential cure or a solve for the greening that's happened. What do you think about all that?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm very hopeful that something will arise, a silver bullet, something that we can put to use, whether it be through those means that you're talking about at the universities. I know they're spending millions of dollars and lots of time in the laboratories looking for something to help alleviate this situation. One of the things that I want them to find something so bad, because I just cannot imagine the state of Florida without that crop, without the orange industry, the citrus industry. It has been our marquee crop for years. And so, right now, Tropicana is not juicing oranges, fresh oranges here. So there's no semis running into Bradenton now, bringing, oranges from the middle of the state or any groves here in Manatee County. So to me, that is so sad. And I just hope that we can see a resurgence. They can come up with some type of a system by which to defeat this disease that's called HLB, or Huang Long Bing disease. And so that's the citrus greening that you hear about on the news. So hopefully some way we can figure out a way to stop that, so we can develop some different varieties that will be resistant, and we can get back to making Florida the citrus marquee state again.
I mean, don't you think? I mean, for anyone who's an inventor or a young person, a scientist, to figure this out, it's not just $1 million idea. This is $1 billion idea to solve.
Very much so.
What are the symptoms? What does it look like? How does it present itself?
It starts underneath the soil, so you don't really see it happening. At our grove and parish, we started seeing the fruit drop, and we started seeing leaves falling off the tree, and we're like, what in the world's going on? And so everything's happening in the soil at your roots. It's killing your root system, but you can't see it happening until it's affecting the top of the tree. And so that's the situation.
Which by then it's too late.
It is. It is for sure. So there's, talking about young people, there is a young student here in Manatee County, Cole Arendt. He's going to be surprised that I said his name on this, okay?
How you doing, Cole?
He is a high schooler at Parish Community High School. He is an avid citrus grower, and he's researching stuff in the citrus all the time. I see his dad all the time, and he gives me an update of what Cole's working on. He wants to help find a cure, find a cure for this. And so he's doing his own stuff, but he has been to the University of Florida. He goes to different citrus things throughout the state and talks to people, and they're like, oh my gosh, he's 15 years old, and what he knows is unbelievable. So whenever I get around Cole, we talk about citrus.
That's so inspiring, and it's going to take someone like Cole to do this, so that's really inspiring to know that young people are taking up the helm.
Sure. So to your question, I hope they can find a cure for this, so we can start planting trees again and making Florida the premier citrus state.
Well, before we let you go, there's one very important thing that we have to get to, and that is our world-famous lightning round.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Right. Mayor Dan West, world-famous lightning round. Quick answers, quick questions. Are you ready, sir?
Okay.
All right.
Do my best.
Lightning round. Palmetto Mayor Dan West, here we go. Favorite fair food of all time?
The corn dogs from the Kiwanis. Manatee Kiwanis corn dogs.
Yum.
Get them. 15th through the 25th.
Yes.
January 2026.
Yes.
Yep. Palmetto tradition you never get tired of?
Oh, golly, the 4th of July.
What do you dislike more, traffic on the road or traffic at the boat ramp?
Traffic on the road.
Favorite historic building in Palmetto?
That would be the Carnegie Library.
Yep. And we got two of them in Manatee County.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And if somebody moves to Palmetto tomorrow, what's the first thing they need to do today?
They need to go to the Carnegie Library. Start looking at the history right there.
Yep. One thing that's non-negotiable for you when it comes to preserving Palmetto's character?
Oh my gosh. Golly, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I want them to know the history and where we came from. Most people think Palmetto came from the name of the palmetto bug. It's not. Yeah. We are named after the state of South Carolina, which is the Palmetto State.
Yeah.
Yes.
And final question. The creature of Emerson Point, real or make-believe?
I'm going to say real.
Okay.
I'm going to say real.
That's incredible. Well, thank you so much, Mayor, for coming in. Don't forget the fair, January 15th through the 25th, 2026. The Manatee County booth. We're going to be in Veterans Hall there.
Yes.
We're giving out our calendars. We'll have Cortez there.
Excellent.
All sorts of fun giveaways, and of course, an opportunity
Yes.
for kids to become engaged.
Yes, we will be there as well. Everything in our booth is going to be about the 4th of July. We're celebrating the 4th of July from January
January.
1st all the way through.
I love it.
Yes.
USA.
Yeah.
So if folks want to get in touch with you or your office, how might they do that?
You can call City Hall. The numbers, you can just look it up on our website, or you can go straight to the website and get the information. My email's on there, so you can email to me directly from the City Hall.
And
from
what's
City
the website?
Just palmettofl.org.
Great.
And with that, how many episodes is that?
4, 5?
25. Look
We're
at it.
getting up
24-ish,
there.
5-ish. Yeah,
We're in our
almost
20s.
Almost so many that we're now having a hard time keeping track. From the county seat and on behalf of the men and women doing work that matters behind the scenes for you, I'm Casey Zempel.
Stephanie Garrison.
Daniel West.
Make it a great day to live, work, and play
In Manatee County.
and Palmetto.
Yes.
The opinions expressed by guests of Chambers Changes in Conversations do not necessarily reflect those of Manatee County government or its employees.